Well, hi. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. We are rolling along with another week, and there's a Coffee and Context coming up this morning. So here's the thing, and I know that folks watch this show at different times during the day, but if you're catching it right away, there's going to be a Coffee and Context at the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce office, and this one's going to be put on by Edward Jones. A lot of great Edward Jones representatives here in town, and they're going to be putting on this Coffee and Context. So hope to be able to see you there. On today's show, it's been a while since we brought you a clip from one of my favorite podcasts that is produced in the area. The podcast is called Riding Tandem, and it is hosted by Vivian Kvam, co-owner of the business Tandem Works. And she has a very special guest on her latest episode. And I talked to Vivian and I said, hey, would you mind if I used a clip from that? And she said, please do. So we're going to bring that because these are two heavy hitters that are having a conversation. Obviously, Vivian Kvam from Tandem Works, but also Dessie Redmond of Full Fledged Brewery. And we're going to kind of just eavesdrop a little bit on their conversation, and you'll be able to catch the full episode on the Riding Tandem podcast. So that's coming up in just a moment. Up first, Just Sue Creative can help build your business with website design, search engine optimization, content creation, marketing, everything you need to take your company to the next level. Sue Pitts has a passion for small businesses, helping them thrive in a digital world. And a great starting point is visiting her website, justsuecreative.com. Schedule a free consultation. Just click on that free consultation button to get started. Big thank you to Bryce Taylor with GLI Insurance Group, a locally and family-owned independent insurance group that has been helping people find the best possible plan for them for over a decade. Bryce has an office just up the road from Council Bluffs in Crescent. And Bryce is also the founder of the Facebook group Council Bluffs Food Lovers. Bryce and I are going to be heading out very, very soon to bring you another restaurant review from the area. And we're crossing our fingers that we can actually make breakfast work because there's so many great breakfast places. And all of that is coming up very, very soon here on Morning Coffee. And if you need precision metal fabrication done right, look no further than Foxco Fabrication in Council Bluffs. From custom welding to large-scale manufacturing, they bring your ideas to life with expert craftsmanship and cutting-edge technology. Whether it's industrial, commercial, or custom fabrication, they get the job done on time and built to last. Locally owned and proudly made right here in Council Bluffs. Learn more on their website, foxcofab.com. All right, now it's time to bring you a clip from the latest episode of the podcast, Riding Tandem. Vivian Kvam and Dessie Redmond are discussing what brings them to Council Bluffs and how everything got started for both of them.
When did this idea of creating a brewery start for the two of you, especially because what I'm hearing is like you seem very happy with the careers you have. They have nothing to do with brewing. So where did this come from?
So actually, Marshall, he's been brewing commercially for 25 years.
Wow.
He went to school for brewing. So he's kind of always had this dream to do his own thing. And so since you're from Reno, you might know BJ's Brewery and Restaurant. I don't know if you've heard that. You know, there's a ton East Coast, a ton West Coast. And he had been working there in the Reno one. And then they opened a brewery, a brand new brewery in Texas. And so we actually hopped over to Texas for a little while and lived there. And he had just always talked about his dream of owning his own.
Okay.
So we started working on a business plan when we lived in Texas, and I wanted to move closer to my family because they live in the Midwest, and his family's East Coast and West Coast. So he's like, this is kind of for me. And we started doing some research, and Council Bluffs is a town of 60,000 people plus, and didn't have a brewery. And so as we're kind of like looking at the map and spotting places, we're like, that's crazy. How can there be a town of 60,000 people and not have one single brewery? And then we started doing research on like laws, like self-distribution, which at the time Nebraska didn't allow. but Iowa did. And so that was kind of a big determining point too. And then I was like, well, we probably need to go visit Council Bluffs if we like it,
Mm-hmm.
because I haven't been there for years and Marshall had never been there. And so we hopped on a plane and we came and we took a tour and we drove around town. We had a couple people assist us, like Paula Hazelwood from Advanced Southwest Iowa. And we were like, okay, I think this is the place to do it. I mean, we had a bunch of other options for where we might locate, and Council Bluffs just ended up to be the one.
That is so fascinating and such an interesting parallel to my story. So, being from Reno, Nevada, and when I was 16, my parents decided they wanted to move, and they put a map up on the wall and they started researching all the different states, trying to find a state with a great growing season. Nevada is not well known for like agriculture. It's more of a cowboy state, cattle, things like that, or melons if you want to grow like melons. But they were looking for a good growing season, a lower cost of living because Reno had become quite expensive. And we were homeschooled kids, so they needed good homeschool laws. They're different from state to state. So they had a couple criteria, and they literally color coded the map and started putting like certain states that they didn't want to move to, color coding ones they would. My dad had very distant ties to Nebraska. Like when his greats came over from Norway, they ended up in Nebraska. So there was like this sort of tie. And one of my sisters and my dad got on a Greyhound bus and came out and toured the area. And then they sold the house and moved. We actually moved to West Point, Nebraska. And then later I moved over to Iowa. And for those who don't know the geography in the area, where we're located, Nebraska and Iowa, there's the borders right there. There's a river that separates the two states. So that's how I ended up here. It was literally like, we want to go somewhere. Where can we go? Research it, take a trip, and make the move.
Wow, that is very parallel.
Isn't that interesting? Well, and I was going to ask exactly like, what was it about Council Bluffs? I'm sure you had other options, like you mentioned. What was it that drew you to an area? Just thinking about others out there who might be thinking about relocating or looking for somewhere for their business. What was some of your criteria?
So my family, I have a sibling in Omaha and a sibling in Crescent, and then my parents live in Fremont. And so that was definitely a big draw, is just having family in the area. But also I have this very distinct memory of driving around with a friend's dad. He was the one that was driving when we were in high school, and they were from Council Bluffs, and he was pointing out like all of these historical structures when we were driving, in the Haymarket of Council Bluffs down the 100. And that always I locked in my head, and I was like, there's so much history there. There's so much cool, architecture and stuff. And so I just really enjoyed the town itself.
Yeah, there is a rich history here in the area. And I think it's something that a lot of folks are very proud of. There's a lot of you go back to the founding days of things for the country, and there's a number of crossroads that happened right here in this area. And there's some infamous things and there's some exciting things. And I do love that about Council Bluffs and the area in general. So I agree. And there is some really cool architecture. When you were driving through, were you kind of like picturing, oh, this is where we would put the brewery or that? I know whenever I drive by buildings, I'm always like, that building's cool,
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It was like, okay, what's around the area? Like, there's different places where we could be in town. And we actually looked at several different places. We did drawings, if you're familiar with the Pace building, which I know we've talked there, so I know you are. There's that little brick building that would be on the west side of the Pace Center.
Yes.
And we actually got drawings drawn up with our tanks and everything in there because it's going to be potentially where we were going to go. Unfortunately, the building, it was just too small. Like by the time we put all the tanks in, there was literally like room for 4 tables for people to sit at.
Yeah.
So we just kind of already had outgrown that space. But yes, definitely. And then we looked at the Haymarket at a building. But yes, we were going around town, like where can we be located, and where would like people come? Like how can we get the most traffic to come?
The link to the entire episode is in the description here of where you're watching the show. So I would encourage you to go watch it and go watch some previous episodes of Writing Tandem. It's a great podcast produced locally right here in Council Bluffs. If you're looking to elevate your wrestling game, join the best wrestler in Council Bluffs, where champions are forged. Founded by Olympian George Ivanov and his father, elite coach Ivan Ivanov. The club is built on 3 pillars: wrestling, academics, and career. Train with world-class coaches who produced Olympians, world champions, and national title holders. Their state-of-the-art facility at the Iowa West Fieldhouse offers programs for all ages and skill levels. Whether you're aiming for the podium or personal growth, The Best Wrestler is your path to excellence. Go to thebestwrestler.com to start your journey today. And if you are looking for a laid-back spot with great food and even better company, the Mile Away in Council Bluffs on Old Lincoln Highway, just north of town, this family-run bar and grill is your go-to for mouth-watering wings, unbeatable weekly specials, and a welcoming atmosphere that feels like home. Whether you're catching the game, enjoying a taco on the Wednesday special, or just unwinding after a long day, the Mile Away has you covered. They're, again, as I said, they're located on Old Lincoln Highway, north of Council Bluffs. It's the perfect place to relax and enjoy good times. Don't forget to check out their new gaming area. Glitch is upstairs, and it has a whole different kind of vibe, and it's really, really cool. I've checked it out, and I think you'll enjoy it too. Follow the Mile Away on Facebook for the latest events and specials. That's going to wrap up the show on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for all of the continuing encouragement that you keep sending my way. Very, very grateful for all of it. My name's Todd Studer. We'll see you back here again tomorrow morning.